This meeting is being recorded.
To a moment in thoroughbred racing history, the Moonee Valley Racing Club proudly present the 71st of a series, the WS Cox Plate, a Group 1 event over 2,040 metres. 450-metre mark down, Materia, Fields of Omar, and Mackay Diva joining in on the outside, then Desert War. Further back, Confectioner. It's Mackay Diva, Fields of Omar, and Materia. Now the great bears hit the front, Mackay Diva from Materia. Fields of Omar fighting back, but it's Mackay Diva in front of Materia. Fields of Omar coming back in the middle, but Mackay Diva, she's the champ.
Welcome, punters, to another episode of the Whispers Racing Podcast. Cox Plate Day, one of the best race days to attend and punt on. As always, I'm joined by Matty. How are you, Matty?
Going well, thank you, Worm. Looking forward to Cox Plate Day, the best race day of the year.
Yep, it's my favourite. The atmosphere, being there, hearing the roar is, I've never felt anything like it. And yeah, topped off by Daryl Braithwaite singing a great rendition of Horses.
Is Daryl getting paid this year?
No, I hope not. It's Robbie Dolan. It's the what is it? The one of those singing comps. Robbie Dolan's doing it.
Delightful.
So yeah, I can't wait for that to be pumped out. Well, Sydney sing Sweet Caroline in Sydney in Everest Day.
I'm sure you'll be front and centre.
Yeah, front and centre, that's for sure. Well, we might as well kick off here with your favourite Cox Plate moment, non-punting related, and then punting related.
Well, punting related, I think I've said this before. I actually walked out of a university exam to watch Mackay Diva. Failed the exam because I walked out early to watch Mackay Diva in 2005. Glenn Boss on board. I reckon, 7 or 8 wide, going around the bend. Glenn Boss just a look over the shoulder. That was my most memorable Cox Plate from a punting point of view. Paid for me to repeat the subject the next year, which was very handy as well. From a non-punting point of view, and probably the one that hurt the most was 2011. Pinker. I tell you, getting up the inside with Craig Williams on board. Happy trails. Was it not the most unlucky horse not to win a Cox Plate?
Yeah, got nutted against Seamus Reward as well.
It did. So I was on it both years. So from a non-winning point of view, that would be the one that I remember the most, especially because I was at a pub with an idiot mate sitting beside me, heard back Pinker, and did not stop saying Pinker for the rest of the day.
Mate, I think he might be the only bloke in horse racing history, except the owners of Pinker, that was actually happy with the result.
Yes. Luckily, he's over in the UK at the moment, so we don't have to hear about it.
Yeah, I think Mackay Diva as the intro, my all-time favourite. 8 wide against a hot field. Desert War, excellent. Fields of Omar, God's Own as a 3-year-old, I think it was. Ladder the Manor. I have to mention that because one of my mates will go off at me. Every time he sees it goes off, he screams at Ladder to the Manor because he butchered it. I think it was John's the jockey, but yeah, it was all time. She's the greatest I've seen. And then punting story, I was half cut on a Friday night at a pub just before I had cricket Saturday. I always put the bets on the Friday night when I was half cut. And I backed Fields of Omar in a double with Zipping to win the Gold Cup that year. Didn't realise how much I had on it. I think I had 10 or 20 bucks, and yeah, paid for a night out at Rabata after the cricket game, and we just had shots all night, and that winnings was gone within the first hour of drinking.
More importantly, how many runs you get that day?
I don't reckon many. I was dead. I was more hungover than actually sober when I played cricket when I was 18.
Good.
Special mention here to Very Elegant, happy retirement. I think she's an absolute champion in my eyes. Caulfield Cup, Melbourne Cup winner on the resume. Multiple Group 1 winner. She's right up there for me as one of my favourite horses. I remember backing her off a jump out when Darren Weir got her from New Zealand. for the Oaks and never won. Still haven't forgotten about it, but happy retirement. Full credit to the owners for having a crack overseas. I know a lot of people will disagree, but you never get a horse like this again, and you can probably never go back again. You look at Moody, Hawks, Paul Perry, Joe Janiak. They've never had horses like that again when they've gone overseas. So got to take the moment while you can. And I would have done the same. And even if I had a benchmark 70 horse, I'd try and take it overseas. So I'm in full support of the owners. Well done. You had a crack, but she's an absolute champion. Anything to add, Matty?
No, other than I was all over Very Elegant this time last year for the Melbourne Cup. So happy memories. Happy memories.
Yeah, I was all over for the Cox Plate.
Well, I think we've got a similar horse running around this year, which I'll mention a little bit later.
Oh, good segue, but we've still got a bit to go through. Last week, we were around the mark with a lot of placings. We're seeing them well without a result. So confidence is there. We're just not far off a fat result. So looking forward to what we can do this week. Caulfield Cup. Matty, do you take anything out of that race for the Melbourne Cup?
I do. I do. So the horse that finished second, Gold Trip, which in my eyes should have won, if it was wider in the lanes, I believe it would have won and won comfortably. The other part of that, though, I don't think it was fit enough. And we probably saw that as it wobbled over the last 100 metres. So I believe that there's a reason it's going to the Cox Plate on its way to the Melbourne Cup. The other one, and this is my second pick in the Caulfield Cup, was Montefilia. I was ecstatic with the run, and that is a Melbourne Cup run, if you've ever seen one. So they're the two that I'll be following out of the Caulfield Cup. Probably the other thing to mention was just how slowly they went across the first 800 metres.
Yep.
More competition. And we mentioned it last week. There was more competition for who was going to be at the back of the field than what there was up front.
Yep.
So you do need to take that into consideration when you're reviewing this race.
Yeah, 100%. I can't take anything out of it, but totally understand your thoughts. Montefilia was a great run. I just don't know how she's going to stack up against these internationals. Time will tell. Yeah, I've got my thoughts on Gold Trip, and we'll go through them. And hopefully punters will either disagree or agree. Everest, I thought it was a yucky race. Full credit to Giga Kick, great win for the camp. Clayton Douglas deserves it. Willow, again, good riders just come to the floor when the big races are on. But one ride in that race really confused me, and the stewards didn't question him. Was Masked Crusader. Yeah, jumped out the back, but you watch him when he round the turn, he half gave up on it from the 300 to the about 150, 200, and then realised he wasn't doing it. And the horse was actually responding late under not much riding. So wherever it heads, I'm keen to find out. Obviously, it's a back marker and it's, not ideal, but I'm keen to see where it goes because it might come up some good odds. Nature Strip, Total Forgive, second up. I think it wins the Tab Sprint on the last day of the 4-day carnival. $1.90 now. He won't have Eduardo forcing him 5 wide. Can go his own speed down the straight, and you can anchor him in your multis over the 4-day carnival. That's Nature Strip at $1.90. Matty, your thoughts from the Everest?
Yeah, look, Masked Crusader was an interesting one. I think we mentioned that Willow was just going up there on Giga Kick just to keep the run for Coolmore in a few weeks at a time. So he definitely saw right through that, and he realised how good that horse is. So look, it was one that I don't think too many people would have been all over in terms of Giga Kick. But yeah, look, the way the race was run did not suit Nature Strip. But in saying that, I still don't believe Nature Strip ran to its full potential. So get it down to Melbourne, and I believe you'll see a better version of Nature Strip. So don't disagree.
Yeah, especially if Giga Kick is already starting to talk to go to the Coolmore. That tells me that they must think that they were just a little bit lucky, which they might have been, but
Thoughts on Private Eye?
Private Eye was a absolute outstanding run. Everything went its way. Yeah. Wow, it shocked me when it was looming going past Nature Strip because I'm like, how can this come out of a listed Group 3 race down the straight? And it's going to go past some really good sprinters, but maybe we just underestimated it. And be interesting to see if they stay up for the big sprint series in Sydney or come down to Melbourne.
I think their intention is to come down to Melbourne, so it'd be nice to see it up against Nature Strip again.
Yeah, I don't think it'll get anywhere near Nature Strip, but I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Pineapple of the week last week. Well, 3 in a row. We're hitting new heights here on the podcast, and it was me, this guy. St. Bathan. I think we need to thank Dean Holland, 10 out of 10 ride, put it one of the best spots I've seen in racing, just straight there. Never, ever looked like getting beat while the $2 pop was out the back and wide where we said it would be, and you had to be on pace. So absolutely big thank you to Dean Holland. You'll be getting a Christmas card off me for that 10 out of 10 ride, and I think it paid around $5.50 when we mentioned it, $4.50 on the day, and we didn't need the tab promo as an insurance. We just took their money. Buying shares in and cashing out. You got anything this week, Matty?
One that I popped onto the WhatsApp group on Saturday that I was somewhat keen on was Chain of Lightning. Probably should have already been in the portfolio, but we'll pop that in. It's a class horse, and they're picking the races out quite smartly for it. So I think it'll be finding a few more winners, a few more wins across the next few weeks. So it'll be one that I'll be following. Yourself?
To touch on that point, I was hearing during the week that Peter Moody gave Jamie Carr a spray when she lost on it that day at Caulfield. So that's why the change happened. Moods back to his old grumpy best.
I couldn't imagine the big nose roll giving a spray.
While having a dart outside of his mouth. No, not at all. I'm buying shares in a horse that ran in Sydney on Saturday, Stockman. I think it's heading well to the Melbourne Cup. I think it's already in. I genuinely think this is the local hope of the Aussies, and I think it can be winning out of the locals. I don't know if it can compete against these internationals, but I'm chucking him in my my trifectas and first fours, and might just have something little to win on it come race time because I reckon he'll start 40s or 50s. That is Stockman. Track stats. Well. I think this is going to be the biggest headache of all than doing the form. 10 to 20 mils Friday midday onwards, and then 5 to 10 mils Saturday morning, stopping at around 1 p.m. They won't water the track, so it'll be a rock hard firm 2 on Friday when the rain arrives. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays Friday night. It's not ideal it raining during the Friday meeting because the track will be just getting chewed up. Plus, any rain on the valley kills it, and it's completely cooked the track. Not the track manager's fault. It's just worn out. It needs an upgrade. So I'll say it's a soft 6 or 7. 7 at worst. It probably could even be a good 4 or soft 5. Just depends how it drains and what they do overnight. I think there'll be 3 off the fence. But definitely watch and act, especially on the Saturday and the Friday, because Friday could be very leaderish until the rails off, and then we know how Saturday could play. But the biggest insight we will get is watch Craig Williams in the first couple of races. He tells you the story, where you want to be in the races. So watch Willow. He's our man when we're punting. Trial trackers. We're going Moonee Valley Saturday, race 1, number 1. Arkanshaw Kid, trialled the best out of all this field and looks to have some talent. Just hope it can handle conditions, but the jump outs have been good enough to win this. That's race 1, number 1, Arkanshaw Kid, the 2-year-old. All right, we're going to do a runner-by-runner preview of the Cox Plate, and then we're going to preview race 2 and race 8, bets around the grounds, little T20 insight. Got some interesting stats that will rock your world, I reckon. But we'll kick things off here. Cox Plate, 24 40 meters, Group 1. Good addition to the race. I'm loving the noise coming out of some of these camps saying they would lead or put some pressure on the leaders so they don't run it slowly. One particular jockey said they are going slow. He will take off and light this race up. I love it. Bring it on. We will kick things off here with Zaki, number 1. Annabelle Neesham, Jamie Carr, $4.20, barrier 1. Matty.
Number 1, barrier 1, Zaki. Look, I wouldn't want it any worse than a soft 6 for Zaki. Barrier 1, I think it'll rail up. I think you'll find that there'll probably be one horse. I think it might be Profondo that might cross it. So that'll be interesting to see if it does do enough work through that first straight to take the lead into the first corner, or if Profondo and potentially even Alligator Blood from out wide can get across. But I believe that Profondo will probably get in front of it and it'll be sitting one back on the rails. Look, has it done enough this preparation to be winning a Cox Plate? That's the biggest question for me. I don't believe it's running up to its best. This is its absolute grand final, so I completely understand that. And I know there will be a lot of people all over Zaki, Jamie Carr on board. So if you like it, I'm not going to talk you out of it, but I won't be on board Zaki on the weekend, Worm.
Okay, we're seeing it a bit different. I think it's been a good prep. It's grand final day. We will be seeing it peaking for this. I think they've done it a bit different this prep, where the last couple of preps and autumn and the spring, they've been firing it up early. I think from what I've seen of the yard, he's there to go. And I think he's ready to rock and roll. Barrier 1, is it a knock or is it a plus? Yes, it's going to be a plus because the trainer has said it needs the rail and it lays in. Yep, that's fine. But if the rail's off, it's going to be 4 off the fence. So I don't think barrier 1 is a great barrier, especially if something's on its outside, and don't let it get into the lanes. Well, should find the front on its own terms. Will put the hammer down along the side. No knock. They've kept this horse peaking for this. Genuine chance. Number 2, I'm Thunderstruck. Mick Price, Mick Kent Jr., Mark Zara, barrier 10, $12.
But no matter what anyone says, Mark Zara's going to be putting this to sleep at the back of the field. Little pressure. It'll get across, probably set one off the rails. And it'll be finishing late, around about that 800-metre mark. It'll start to wind up. It'll try and sneak through the field. If it can't, it'll have to go wide, which may not be the worst thing. Looks still hasn't won over 1,600 metres, which some might see as a concern. It's realistically, it's come second across 2,000, so I don't think distance is going to be any real issue. I see it as a top 4 chance. I don't necessarily see it as a top 2 chance. So it'll be in my numbers, but I can't see on Thunderstruck winning this, with the fact that it's going to have Animo Zaki in front of it.
Yep, good points. I'm Thunderstruck. Been a good prep. I think the price is crazy considering it started $7 last start and went down by 0.2. Is it because it's got barrier 10 and it's going to be sticky? But this is one camp that have said they may roll forward. One thing is this horse will lay in. It's not because of the horse. It's because of Mark Zara's riding style. Makes most of his horses lay in, and I think it cost Gold Trip the Caulfield Cup by doing it. Ingratiating did it 3 weeks ago. Was down the middle and just went straight to the inside due to his riding style. Punters haven't switched on there. I don't like this horse, and I don't like the rider on because they're going to be in the middle of the track. So it's a no from me. Sorry, Mark Zara. Number 3, Alligator Blood, Gay Waterhouse, Adrian Bott, Tim Clark, barrier 12, $17.
Tell you what, Tim Clark's going to have to zing the gates, get across nice and quickly. Look, there's a chance it's going to happen, but honestly, I can see it sitting 3 wide. I can see Profondo, and as you mentioned, maybe Azaki, Young, were the Lauric indices pushing up as well. Even though Alligator Blood, amazing preparation, cannot fault it. But unfortunately, drawing where it has, it's going to have to do a fair bit of work from out wide. And look, You do have a bit of time down the straight at Moonee Valley, but I can see it sitting 3 wide. So I believe it's going to be beat before it actually gets to the first corner. So unfortunately, Alligator Blood, no from me.
Yeah, Alligator Blood synthetic full filler on. It's been checked for lameness tomorrow, as it has shown lameness. Can't see this horse running a strong 2040, let alone starting. So clear no for me. Number 4, Mr. Brightside, Barrier 11, B and J.D. Hayes, Craig Williams, $16.
Mr. Broadside. Look, from there, it's probably going to have to sit worse in midfield, which, look, it isn't too much of an issue, but I believe it's about a mile than what it is over 2,000 metres. Won the Doncaster over 1,600. For me, I don't believe that 2,000 metres really suits this horse. And half this field hasn't actually won at the distance. When was the last time you could say that about the Cox Plate?
Yeah.
It's astonishing. But look, Mr. Brightside, again, really, really solid preparation. Can't knock it. However, I don't see it winning this race.
I was just reading how many horses have won over 2,000 metres, and it was 6. So, no.
Half the field.
Yeah, good stat. I don't mind it. Mr. Brightside, I don't think this horse is I think this horse is a genuine wet tracker. Conditions will suit, but the barrier 11, they'll have to go back. Can't be giving these good horses a head start. Maybe top 3. I'm definitely chucking him in my multiples after first 4 tries, but hard to see it winning. Number 5, Mwanga, Allenbell, Neesham, and Nashua Willa, barrier 9, $23.
Well, this horse finished top 4 last year. It finished 4th. Now, this is debatable, but for me, no tougher than what it was last year. So it needs to be in top 4 consideration. It'll be sitting off pace, like it has done for most of the prep. And if it does get a little bit of luck, I believe that it can get a little bit closer than last year. So it will be in my multiples. I said very, very difficult for the horse to be winning, but at $34, well and truly overs for me.
There you go. I think this horse wants 2,400 meters. It gets left flat-footed when the race is on and they take off. Nashua Willer's already said he will take off early if the pace is slow. So he's going to take off from last. Probably a good move because this horse doesn't have a turn of foot. We'll play up in the yard. So don't be turned off by it. Barrier 9, I feel the horse will be out the back too. It's a no from me. Number 6, Gold Trip, Kieran Maher, Dave Eustace. Barrier 7, Jamie Spencer flying down for the ride, $14.
Worm, thoughts on Jamie Spencer just before I kick off?
World class. Interesting booking in my eyes. I like to use local knowledge over international knowledge because Moonee Valley is a unique track. It's nothing like what they've got in Europe. If it was at Flemington, I've got no knock. I'm just a bit iffy, but I know you've got an idea, and I think it's a good one.
I've got a theory. I think Kieran's picked up the telephone. Told Jamie, look, would you like to run in Melbourne's 2 best races, the Cox Plate and the Melbourne Cup? Look, we just want to use the Cox Plate as a get to know you. Put it to sleep towards the back. Fly home. Do you remember a horse this time last year that did something very, very similar and finished 3rd? Very elegant. I think this is a very, very similar preparation. So for me, Gold Trip goes towards the back. Going to be using this as a Melbourne Cup warm-up. And top 3 is not out of the question.
I've got a different view, and it's starting to turn me your way now after hearing what you've said. But the last horse to back up from the Caulfield Cup was Master of Wine. So that's not really a good stat. But I understand what you're saying. It makes sense. but the blinkers go on Saturday, so that was a bit interesting. It will surely improve the horse. But as I said, Jamie Spencer coming out for Moonee Valley, just I don't know. But what you're saying does make sense, and I'm leaning more your way now after hearing it. But he's never ridden the horse, and as you said, he's probably coming out to meet him. Smart. I'd be probably doing the same thing, but there's smarter people than me. I just find it funny here. 12 months ago, this horse was in the market for the Cox Plate, and they were scratched a couple of days before and banned from Victorian racing because of its walk. And the owners came out and went to all the media and said, "We'll never race in Victoria again. They can get stuff." They took the horse up to Sydney, and now 12 months on, eh? Where are you now? You're back in the Cox Plate, eh? Oh, what a 12 months can do. I think it's quite funny. Good luck to the owners. Hope you go well, but I can't have it but looking forward to seeing it in the Melbourne Cup. Number 7, Laws of Indices, Annabelle Neesham, John Allen, Barrier 3, $31.
Look, went back in the tour rack at Caulfield, flew home, just didn't get too low. It's a horse that just hasn't had that breakout Group 1 win in Australia, but has got a ton of talent. Now, it hasn't won over 1,400 metres, which slight concern. But this is a horse that, again, around that $35 mark, I'll be including for my 3rd and 4th in my first 4s. I think it is that and Moonga are the 2 blowout chances for finishing top 3. Again, I don't think either of them will win the race, but I think both of them are a chance for a podium.
Well, as we've said previously before, punters, we do not do the same form. We're complete different. So it's interesting you say it about Laws of Indices, because this horse, I can't decide yes or no. At 46, as I saw earlier, I think it's overs. The negative I have, it's never won past 1,400. But the positive is, off the hot tempo last start, from the 800-metre mark, its splits were outstanding. 11.20, 11.54, 11.78, and the final 200 was 11.88 of a fast tempo. And through the line, I thought it was good too. Was further back than I Wish I Win, who I was talking up for a Cox Plate. Gave it Winburn. Heavy track, I'll stay away, but soft 7 or better. I'm keen to have a little nibble here at around the 30s or 46s, wherever you do bet. Laws of Indices, interesting runner. Number 8, Young Werther, Danny O'Brien, Damian Lane, Barrier 2, $41.
Third up last year, ran 8th in a Caulfield Cup. It's third up here in a Cox Plate. I imagine it's going to run somewhere similar, around about that 8th. I think we'll see it in a Melbourne Cup where it's got a chance of running top 10. So for me, it'll be a no for the Cox Plate.
Yeah, Young Werther, I think it's a tune-up for the Melbourne Cup. It's a clear no for me. Number 9, Maximal, John O'Shea, Ben Mallum, Barrier 5, $41.
Second in the Turnbull Cup, not the form line I want to follow this year. Hasn't won over 1,600 metres. It'll be a pass.
I think it's a genuine roadblock. It's a no. Number 10 here, Animo, James Cummings, James McDonald, Barrier 4, $2.40.
Dropped back to second last year, carrying 49.5 kilos, carrying 8 kilos more this year. That's about the only negative I can find for this horse. There's no state of rest in this race. It is significantly better than the rest of this field if you were to run in a straight line. So the only thing that can beat it is the mapping, or, like Nature Strip last week, does not run up to its full potential. For me, it is a clear on top.
Okay. I don't know if I'm overthinking this, or I'm genuinely going to be around the mark here with this speed map. So it deserves to be favourite, and what a win it was last start. Wobbled around the corner, and for a split second, it looked gone. But off the canvas sort of win, I love to see it. Good barrier, but Barrier 4 here can be quite tricky for it. Does he sit behind the leaders in Alligator Blood and Zaki and smoke the pipe and maybe use Zaki as the streamline? Or is it streamline? Whatever the cyclists use, you know what it is. Bloody hell, I've forgotten again. If he uses them, I think he wins. Hands down, he's an absolute moral. I know I don't like using that word, but he will be a moral if he camps behind Zaki. But he has Maximal in 5, Young Werther in 2, Lords of Indices in 3, Profondo in 6, El Bodegon 8, Gold Trip 7, who will be looking to come across. And even I'm thunderstruck. They've been saying they might come across. If he's fallen asleep or half misses a kick, he's going to have some roadblocks behind him, and he's going to have to be wider, and Zaki might be off and gone. I think barrier 4 is a lot trickier than we think it is. J-Mac's the best. I'm not going to doubt him, but it's going to have to be an absolute peach of a ride to get it right, because if he goes wide, we could be in some pain, I reckon. But
So it needs the slipstream behind Zaki.
Yep, slipstream. I knew it. Like I wrote it down here and forgot. But yeah,
I agree with what you're
fascinating.
saying. I agree with what you're saying. As I said, the map is one of the only things that can beat this horse. With J-Mac on board, I'm comfortable to take that gamble. And I don't think it's too much of a gamble. From barrier number 4, to be completely honest, it should be able to get in front of Laws of Indices and Young Werther and probably have, I'd probably say, Zaki on its inside, Profondo just in front of it, and Alligator Blood probably in front of Animo. I kind of see them as the top 4. So if that's the case, it might need to go around 1. It might be four wide at best. But I'll tell you what, it's probably going to be in a lot better ground than what Zaki's going to be in.
Yeah, fascinating. Can't wait. As I said, not riding off J-Mac at all. That's why he's the best. But, geez, he's going to have to be right on his game here, I reckon. Number 11, Profondo, Richard Litt, Chad Schofield, barrier 6, $81.
I can tell you're excited by this one, and I'm sure you've got some words of wisdom. Profondo, for me, it just hasn't come back the same horse. So it'll find some easier races later on in the spring, not here.
Yeah, I'm not going to overthink this. This is a genuine roadblock and shouldn't have been in the race. So it's a no from me. Number 12, Al Bodegon, Chris Waller, Damien Oliver, barrier 8, $8.
I'm going to talk to what I know about this horse, and then I'll pass it across to you, because I know you follow this horse from an international point of view a lot closer than what I have. But realistically, the slide frame will be an advantage for this horse around the track. So I don't think Moonee Valley first up is going to pose any issues for this horse. Wet track might be an issue. Soft 6 or 7, I think it'll probably suit it. It's a horse that you're going to have to keep really safe. Now, I've knocked Damien Oliver for the last 3 weeks, and I'm going to knock him again here. He has not ridden a serious winner in 4 weeks. So I cannot have this horse on top.
Does track work count?
Absolutely. No. Synthetic.
Oh. Yeah.
So I will talk to what I know about. And El Bodegon, I cannot have on top. But what I will be doing is I will be keeping it exceptionally safe. And if we see the market move, then I'll definitely have to have a saver on it.
I reckon we've seen the market move already. It was 11s into 8s start of the week, and I think there's the move. I reckon you might get out to double figures.
I think he will too.
I reckon if everyone's listening to this podcast, they'll be going off this theory, right? Similar profile to State of Rest. I know a lot of people say he's 2 lengths off him, but seriously, it beat Animo with 49 kilos. Animo had 49 kilos. Now, that was last year. As you said, goes up in weight. It was 5 lengths off Verdini at 2,100 metres, who Verdini ran second in an arc, but has beaten Verdini over 1,600. I know that's a useless stat, but it has beaten it. So I count that as a tick. Out of that long chomp race, 2,400 metres in France on the 14th July. This is a bit of a theory, so stick with me. Verdini won a Coral Eclipse Group 1 and second in a Group 1 Irish champion race. Modern Games, who was in the same race on the 14th of July, won a Group 1 and 2 placings in Group 1s. Al Kahim won a Group 2 and 4th in the ARC. One's Toe won the Grand Prix de Paris Group 1 and 2nd in the Irish Champion Group 1. And Al Bodegon beat them all at Longchamp over 2,100 metres. I wouldn't worry about the last 2 starts over 2,400. I don't think it runs 2,400. Interesting last start against Deauville Legend. They were going 13 seconds for their 200 splits, and then between the 8 and the 6, they went 10.52. That's 18 lengths quicker. The horse was cooked straight away, did well to hold on by the margin of 4.3. You just don't win races doing that. And I think this is a serious contender. If it's a wet track, I've seen its wet track race over 1,400 metres and it handled it really, really well. So wetter the better. I think it's a genuine chance. All right. Betting strategy, Matty. Where are you spending your 100?
Well, I've already laid down my hand. Animo clearly on top for myself, and $90 on Animo. And we'll be having a Quinella with Gold Trip and Animo for the last $10.
Yeah, like it. Don't mind it because the Quinella will pay all right with that. $100, I'm spending it. I'm just going the 100 on Al Bondagon. These internationals that come down as 2nd and 3rd class raiders, they are always too good for us. We didn't give State Arrest any chance, and it beat Animo, who had 49.5, now up in weight. $7.50, $8 is probably the right price. If it rains, it won't be an issue. If you like Animo Ozaki, I couldn't talk you out of it. They're 2 great horses and deserve to be 1-2 in the market. But I am with Al Bodegon at $100 at the $8.
Very nice. Might be a little trifecta there as well.
Well, yeah, definitely. WhatsApp, if you want to be part of the community, DM me, get my thoughts on Metro Racing and Maidens throughout the week. More importantly, you can share your thoughts, all free. That is $0. Geez, we ran hot early on Saturday while Matty was having a birthday party and missed out on a lot of winners. And I reckon he was getting angry when they were buzzing just after midday. And then we had some horrible beats towards the end, but geez, it was a lot of fun Saturday. So come and get involved and get our thoughts for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, lots of racing. Good time to get involved when we can do the form for you over the 4-day carnival, when you can sit back and just hear the winners.
Our multi King John.
Yeah.
Won't he be going absolutely crazy if our Bodygon gets up?
Oh, yes. I was actually looking for that today. Knew someone was balls deep on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, multi-John.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 multis, and this is the last leg of all 5 of them.
Do you reckon he's got a Jack and the Beanstalk listening to this now after I've just tipped our Bodegon?
Oh, mate. The amount that he sends through, he's up to the last leg on. Oof. One that you definitely want to follow.
And then there was another one, Michael, who said, I reckon 5 multis over 5 weekends, and he's landed 5 out of 6 in the last 3 weeks. I shouldn't laugh, but geez, the great game can tip you on your head pretty quick.
Absolutely.
All right, so DM me if you want to get involved, or DM Matty and we'll get you in straight away. Race 2, Matty wants to preview 1,000 metres, the Whispers Handicap.
Whispers Handicap. Now, a lot of pace in this race over the 1,000 metres, which you 100% expect. I'm just going to jump straight into the 4 that I like. You're on command. Jamie Carr on board. It needs to ping the barriers if it's any chance whatsoever. I think Jamie on board, a huge chance to be doing that. From barrier number 5, it could be, if it gets an easy lead, it'll be in the finish. It didn't get an easy lead last start at the Valley and had to do a lot of work. I don't believe that Jamie's going to be allowing the horse to do it. So I think it's one that will definitely be top 4 and potentially a little bit higher. Melkovic, class horse within the field. From Barrier number 4 is going to get an absolutely dream run, so need to include that in the numbers. But Worm, the two that I could not split, and we're going to have a bet on both of these. Both of these paying $7.50. First one, Ashford Street. Now, has the form behind Asphora. It will get cover, and around about that 150 mark, it will have the ability to be able to peel out from a couple of these leaders. You're talking Ancestry, you're talking Yulong Command, Esther La Rocca, and Wolfland's coming from wide. They're the ones that Ashford Street is going to just settle in behind, peel off heels, and go bang. Second one, Streetcar Stranger. Now, it's going to have a very, very similar run. So Streetcar Stranger jumping from barrier number 2, Ashford Street, barrier number 6. They're going to have very similar runs. It's just going to depend on the lanes. Now, this is no Oakley plate. Streetcar Stranger will run significantly better. Forget its last start. As I said, towards that 150 metre mark, one of these two horses is going to peel off heels and go past the leaders. So that is why I'll be having the same amount of units on both of these two.
Don't mind it. You're 100% right on the pace. It is dead set going to be on like the clappers. I really hope they use the rail here and just test it out, because I think there's a good bet in this race. But number 9 here, Scissor Step, I think jumped out really well, and the best of the jump outs for Saturday with the one I mentioned earlier, race 1, number 1. But yeah, this is going well. Was on the synthetic. I think it's come back quite well, and I think it's going to run a serious race at, where are we?
We're at about $7, $6.50.
Yeah, 550. Malkovic is scratched. That's why I couldn't find it. So yeah, Scissor Step will improve. But I'm really keen to be here with number 4, Ashford Street. Unlucky first up alongside Aspura. Then Aspura got it on a silver platter last start, and I thought Ashford Street was really good. Finished alongside Generation and Dragonstone. What prices would they be in this race? $1.80. Pace will be on here. We just need to find a slot from 6, and hopefully uses. Theo's a smart boy, so I reckon he'll use Yulong Command to get a nice spot just off the rail. And yeah, as I said, they could be on the rail, and we're just off the rail, and we'll be swooping home. Just needs to find a forward spot. Can win. That is Ashford Street. All right, race 8 I am previewing. It's the Whispers NBA Gold Preview Gold Cup, 2,500 metres. So if you love your NBA, lads, myself and Nick did a preview for the upcoming season. I struck out early with the multi on Sunday. Tuesday? But yeah, some really good points in there and some really handful bets if you're keen to have a play. But that is race 8. We're up to 2,500 metres. Number 1 here, Grand Promenade, I think is a bet here. Last year was ridden on speed, and that's why it was winning its races. Beat Charlie Rose and the Bart Cummings last year and ran a really nice 6th in a Melbourne Cup being on speed. First up was just a fitness run. Second up, the jockey elected to sit midfield, but then got spat out the back when the race was on. Jockey got it wrong and should have sat on speed. I thought the run looked better than form suggests. Jockey change, and from barrier 3, it will roll forward and camp right behind the leaders. And I think at the price of around $7, I think it can win. That's Grand Promenade. I'm just waiting for the odds to come up, and they haven't. Desert Icon here had a jump out since, and I think this is its grand final. Ticked over nicely in its jump out and is a genuine chance. Barrier 1 might be the concern here. Luna Flare already in the Melbourne Cup and has barrier 10. So I feel they will go back and just make this a tick over run, just making sure no issues are, and all roads point to the Melbourne Cup. Not saying there'll be any dodginess, but I'll just say that they'll look after the horse. Persan was a good run last start on pace, will run a good race and is the danger, ticking over nicely for the Melbourne Cup. Now, the clear danger here, Francesco Guardi, is a clear danger. Almost fell last start, still picked itself up and almost win. Gets J-Mac, tick, tick. I wouldn't talk you out of it, but my negative is it was $17 that day, and 4 starts ago, it was running in a benchmark 88, where Grand Promenade already has the form on the board from last season, and I think this is very close to grand final day for it, and that is Grand Promenade. Matty, any thoughts?
It's probably going to need to win to get a run in the Melbourne Cup, sitting around about 25th, 26th in the order so far. So I don't think they're going to really be wanting to wait for scratchings. So with you, Grand Promenade, I think you'll be seeing its best within this race. Horses like Persan and these types are already running around in the Melbourne Cup. So I don't necessarily think that it's going to be as important. Grand Promenade, you can't knock it. Desert Icon, can't knock it either. I don't think you're going to be seeing that within the Melbourne Cup. So this could be its grand final. As you mentioned, Luna Flare already in the Melbourne Cup. Yeah, I think you've definitely just run through the main contenders, and I'm quite comfortable to be with you with Grand Promenade at $8.
Ooh, beautiful. There we go. That's it for the racing. Now, T20 World Cup, there's been a few in the community, keen cricket followers. So I'm going to do a little preview, some really weird stats to throw you off here, but I think they're quite helpful here. So I've gone over the 2022 T20 games that they've been in. Now, New Zealand have won 12, lost 3 at 80%. India, 23 wins for 8 losses, 74%. Australia going at 9 wins, 6 losses, 59%. And one of those wins was a extra over eliminator. And England are going 10 wins, 10 losses at 50%. So they're the main contenders that I looked at. Now, looking over the 2022 series, India beat England in England 2-1. And in those 2 wins, India smashed England. Now, looking at these sides, when I go through these were all similar sides. So there's not much going to change here. South Africa beat England in England 2-1. And same again, South Africa smashed England in those 2 wins. New Zealand, here's the interesting one. I know they're going at 80%, but they have beaten Ireland, Scotland, Netherlands, West Indies. Now, yes, they're going at 80% this year, but hang on, that's 4 low ranked sides. So I can't be having them at all. Recently, India beat Australia 2-1 in India. All 3 games were close. 1 game was an 8-over game. So you can't really count that. Cam Green had a huge series. And as I typed it, he wasn't in the squad. England beat Australia 2-0. England's top order batsman killed it in that series. So that's an interesting one being in Australia. Now, as I'm saying this, Cam Green has put in some good games in his T20 warm-up games and now is in the squad for Josh Inglis. I wonder if that was just a squad change and not an injury change. Time will tell, but I think it's a good addition for Australia because he is going well. I think the Aussies will be hard to beat on home soil, especially the bigger grounds. Unlike England, India, New Zealand, South Africa, they all play on those small grounds. We'll finish on top of the group stage and India will finish on top of their pool. In saying that, I think the bet you want to have is with TAB. They're offering $3.50 Australian, India, either of them to win. $3.50. At other corps, they're $3.75 and $4.25. So why not just have them both for $3.50 and enjoy it? Reason I'm choosing Australia and India, both teams don't have a weakness in their side, both strong batters and bowlers, where England and New Zealand are strong in one area, and that's England batting and New Zealand bowling. I thought South Africa were the Smokies, but at $8, I don't see that as value. But it's Australia and India to win at $3.50 with TAB. Matty, any thoughts?
No, mate, I was going to mention something very similar. We posted it on the WhatsApp group.
Yep.
And I think it was Jesto who came back and mentioned that promo. And as soon as I saw it, I was having a look at the field, and I was surprised that India weren't a lot closer to being favourite. I was very surprised that England was second favourite. Not surprised Australia's favourite, considering it's in Australia, but India do play exceptionally well down here. So quite comfortable to be taking 350 for those two, considering they're 375 and 450 in the market as we speak.
Yeah, no knock on England. Like their batters can probably win them a World Cup, but their bowlers, they might be either chasing a real big total. And New Zealand, they can bowl outsides with that lineup, but their batters are just a bit. Yeah, I don't know. Kane Williamson's going to have to carry them a long, long way. But yeah, Australia and India for me. All right, let's go to around the grounds. Matty, where do you want to go?
We'll start in Melbourne. We're going to be going race number 7. Now, Tuvalu, Gentleman Roy, Military Expert, they all raced against each other last start at Caulfield. Tuvalu got the chocolates. I expect to be coming from a little bit further back here. And here, I'd prefer to be with someone who's more on pace. Military Expert's going to be out wide, and I don't believe it's going to have the pace to get across and be leading this. So I'm quite comfortable to be with Gentleman Roy in race number 7, obviously part of the portfolio.
What I will say, it is race 6.
Apologies, mate, race 6.
7. But the interesting runner here is the international that's running, Alabal Neesham, Johnny Allen Ride. Jump out been really good. Its first jump out went along Grand Slam. I marked it an A. I think it's in for a big race. And its overseas runs have been really, really good. So keep that on side. But Gentleman Roy will make every post a winner. So can't disagree with you.
And mate, we'll head up to Sydney, last race, Clemenceau. Again, part of the portfolio. My only concern is the gate coming from wide. However, late in the day might not be too much of a disadvantage. I'd be a lot more bullish on this horse if it drawn a little bit closer inside. Probably towards the middle of the field, to be perfectly frank. And I still don't understand why it's running up in Sydney. Get it down to Melbourne.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the field now because I haven't done a lot of form for Sydney yet. And Zach Lloyd on barrier 15. I don't reckon they run, but if it does, I'll definitely be backing it.
It'll be an interesting one. I'm still very surprised it hasn't come down. I expect to see it at Flemington.
Yeah, maybe they've just jumped off Willie Pike and they've woken up to themselves that they don't need to use him anymore. Interesting you say that. I look at Sydney's fields, and one thing popped out of my mind, popped out here, and I think we need to mention this. Race 7, number 1, Golden Miles, running in the Calendar Presnell race, 1,600 metres, time honoured. Like, it's been a massive history between that race. Be careful because it's $1.75. It didn't run out the 1,600 that strong. Its grand final was 2 starts ago and last start in the Golden. Forgotten already. The 1,400 meter race and then the Caulfield Guineas. I think it's had enough. And at $1.75, I cannot be touching it. I can't tip you anything to beat it, but just be careful of grand finals and afterthoughts because there's so much prize money going around, and this seems to me like an afterthought. I hope it's not, and it brains them, and it'd be the horse that we want it to be. But 1,600 afterthought, $1.75. No, thank you. So I'm going to go to Adelaide, race 2, number 14, second to none, bolted up. Was bolting behind them on a slow tempo. I really liked how the horse got out with not 100 to go, but his last 100 was really good. And I think he's screaming for 1,200. Barrier 2, he can sit a lot closer behind the leaders. Ben Price stays on. I like to see that around the $4 mark. I think he's a bet. Race 2, number 14, second to none. All right, we'll go to the time-honoured multi-3. Do we want to discuss last week, Matty? I'm happy to.
I'm sure I'll Willie let the field down. just stopped riding it at the 300. Willie did. So Mask Crusader, no, thank you.
No, it's just Willie Pike. No, thank you.
Yep.
He'll be banned from this podcast moving forward until he goes back to Perth. I'm going to chuck in Albotagon the place and Grand Promenade the place. You're chucking in?
Gentleman Roy the place, which I'm exceptionally confident about. Clemenceau the place, also confident about. 8 starts, and I'll just double check this. I don't think has not missed a place.
Wow. You can get $23 now. That's Albotagon the place, Grand Promenade the place, Gentleman Roy the place, all at Moonee Valley, and Clemenceau in Sydney. $23. Now, we're going for the quad here. Pineapple of the week. I actually was tossing up between 3 of them, but I think I've landed on the right one here because punters
run us through the 3. Run us through 2 of them.
Saint Bethane, and that's all I can remember.
No, the ones you were tossing up between.
It was tossing up between Albotagon.
Okay, yep.
Grand Promenade.
Yep.
And the other one has escaped me.
And where do we land?
We have landed on race 2, number 4, Ashford Street.
This is are you taking my tips again?
Yeah. I thought I'd get in before the scratching this time. I just think the price is completely wrong. I think we'll get the best part of the track. They're going to use the rail. And if they use the rail, $7 is stupid. And we're going to absolutely clean up. We can use the tab promo, free hit, if you are eligible. I just think he can win. There's going to be a lot of pace up front. He can sit no worse than midfield and can use the lanes and will be in play while the others will be on the rail. Wetter the better. Let's go Ashford Street and T.O. Nugent, race 2, number 4, Ashford Street.
The Valley will be rocking.
I could be on my absolute knees if this gets up. I might just be, what was Matty Hill's thing? The Valley's rocking.
Don't come a knocking.
I will dead set be running the home straight if this gets up. I'm going to have a fair income crack. We might as well. It's Cox Plate Day. Gamble responsibly as always, guys. Anything else to add, Matty?
No, mate. Enjoy the day. Absolute cracker.
Yeah, can't wait. It's my favourite time. Any thoughts on the Manicato? I haven't.
Mate, not at this stage, but what we will be doing is we'll be popping it up on our WhatsApp group on Friday night.
Definitely. It will be betting on the go, race by race, as the weather will play a part, and we need to be adapting to that on the run. So thank you for joining again, Matty. Hopefully listeners have a fill up. More importantly, we hope we fill your pockets up. Gamble responsibly, and we will leave with our favourite friend who always just wants to have a little word of advice to all our favourite listeners out there.
I'm not a good person, but it just goes to show that good things do happen to bad people. So anyone out there who's up against the wall, fucking stick to it. Every cent you got, your rent, your electricity bill, if you're going to buy your missus a ring, don't fucking do it. Keep punting. Keep fucking punting.